let's move on to some more Patriot stuff. This was a little bit more of a shocker to me. I put an article out about this yesterday, and I think a lot of us have kind of, I don't know, changed our feelings maybe about Gronk over the years. But I thought it was interesting. He did an interview with Jeff Howe from The Athletic recently, and he was asked about Tom Brady's retirement and getting a one-day contract and whatever, and Jeff asked him if he would like to do the same, and his answer is what was the most interesting, I think. He said, if it was offered and presented, it would definitely be a possibility. I love New England. I loved my time there. I learned so much. I love Mr. Kraft. I love the whole organization, Coach Belichick, everyone. I've learned so much there over the 9 years. If that was presented in my case, that would definitely be something to consider because of just how much that place means to me for the rest of my life. So I found that to be a little bit significant because if you've been paying attention to Gronk post first retirement, I guess, he hasn't said a whole lot of positive things about his time in New England and not spoken highly of the experience or the coaches at all. It's just not been the greatest, and I think that's why a lot of Patriots fans have kind of been turned off from him. And then, of course, he retired for a year and then came back and just went to be with Brady. So people were a little bit rubbed the wrong way, and how he went about his retirement was messy as well. But even just as of last month, he talked about how difficult it was to deal with losing when you were with the Patriots and how he would go into a, quote, super depression after losses. And then last year, he took a jab when he was on Jimmy Kimmel, when he was talking about Brady wanting to make sure that he earned his bonus. And he flat out said in a joking way that if that were the case in New England, that he probably would have been taken off the field before he could earn that. And I just thought that was a little weird because, I mean, I don't know. So I think that this is all going to come down to, I guess, how Mr. Kraft feels. I haven't heard this talked about at all, even after he originally retired. I didn't recall anybody talking about him retiring a Patriot, like signing a one-day contract or them doing like a ceremony. I never heard any of them say anything about that. And we know that it's a topic right now simply because Brady just retired. So people are talking about it with Brady, and they're going to ask it with Gronk now that we know that Gronk is for sure not coming back. But I'm not completely against it because, I mean, it's not like Gronk is the first guy to have said that it was difficult to be a Patriot. I think that it's also just because of his personality. He is very all over the place. He's very silly. He's very extroverted, and that isn't always something that is going to work well in a Bill Belichick environment. So I wouldn't be surprised if that has something to do with his feelings possibly. And even though he said something about having a super depression and having to deal with it for 2 days, I think a lot of us can relate to that. I think fans especially understand that. But as Joel said, oh wait, there it goes. Gronk should be given the opportunity to retire as a Patriot. I am not against it because this is something that I mentioned in my article too. We have to remember the enormous impact that Gronk had on the Patriots. He was with them for 9 seasons. He totaled 521 receptions for 7,861 yards, 79 touchdowns in 115 games. He adds 98 receptions for 1,389 yards and 15 touchdowns in the postseason, which he played in 22 games. And he won 4 Super Bowls with them. He was a 5-time Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro 4 times. Made the NFL 2010s all-decade team, the NFL like 100, the Patriots 2010 team. Like, he's done everything possible. Not to mention how many of you guys still participate in debates online about how he's better than Travis Kelce. Like, we're still doing that, or at least I'm still doing that. So I think I'm not against it. It would be kind of cool if they both were in a ceremony together or even just separate but around at the same time, I'm not against it. I know that people aren't thrilled with Gronk, but I mean, you can't ignore the greatness that the man brought to the Patriots in those 9 years, you know? So I'm glad to see that you guys agree with me, because I wasn't sure how you guys were going to react, since I know that some people have some really harsh feelings towards Gronk, and he can be kind of annoying sometimes. But he is one of my all-time favorite Patriots. So, I kind of have to just look past it because I love me some Gronky.